There we go. All right. I don't know that I made it public, though. I haven't done a live stream in a hot minute on StreamYard. I guess we'll wait and see. Wait and see if some folks show up or not. Lou, my man, I was just getting ready to say, I hope Lou shows up soon. He always lets me know. He always lets me know if we're popping off. All right, what's up? Sorry, I took myself a little nap after I got home, got in the shower, and was trying to set this up. But yeah, the StreamYard's up, y'all, sometimes. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Jody, Charlie, Lou, C. Green, William Black, Paul Tracy. What's up, buddy? D-Skins all day. How you doing? How you doing? How's everybody doing? So yeah, I think I had said something about it last week. Somebody had sent me the First Amendment auditor training video from Calvert County government employees. Now, I know the sheriff's department in Calvert County does a joint training with both Charles and St. Mary's County as well. So I don't know if all three of the county employees had to take this training session, but I know that at least Calvert did. So we're going to go ahead and check it out, watch it together. I'm very pregnant, extremely. I had checked it out last week and watched some of it, but I did not get a chance to finish watching it. It's quite a long video, actually. So we're going to check it out together, though. Do some live reactions and see if my dumbass can pull it up here. There's got to be a way that I can present my screen. Video file. There we go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
And then, so again, this is, I'll give people a few minutes to get in here, see if some other folks come in for a second. I had to make sure that worked. But yeah, again, this is we're all pregnant, brother. It's 2023. Everybody's pregnant. Dave's pregnant. I'm pregnant. I think Lou's pregnant. Kent Island. No, this is just Calvert County. I think Kent Island is Queen Anne's County. So this would be Calvert, which would be like south of like Edgewater. Anything like south of Anne Arundel County usually does a joint training facility type of thing. So I don't know if this was done for all three of them or only Calvert County. I know for a fact it was Calvert, though. Yeah, see, told you, Lou's pregnant too. We're all pregnant, baby. We in there. Alrighty. Damn, Charlie, sorry to hear that, brother. He is, and he is not a very good baby daddy. I need my child support, brother. Yo, baby needs some formula. There's a shortage out here. You know, it's hard in these streets. Alrighty, Silicon Valley, what's going on, brother? How you doing? How you doing? For the record, Mr. Douglas, what's up, buddy? Louis Garcia, what's up? What's up? I feel like Louis is always checking in from Michigan. I think so. What's up, brother Louis? All right, we got 40 people in here. I'm gonna go ahead and start it. So again, this is done by a gentleman. Gosh, I can't remember his name right now. His name is like Matt something, but ultimately the little acronym you see in the bottom corner, the LGIT, is for Local Government Insurance Trust. That is the surety bond company that handles like all of the what's the word I'm looking for the type of bond that it is that these government employees and these law enforcement officers will get for when like they have misconduct and shit to help pay it out. God, I can't think of the exact word right now. But yeah, ultimately it is the surety bond company that will provide them the insurance, liability, like the liability insurance while they're on the job for the county. So this group comes in to do some training, teach the employees. Now, again, this is something that they had to go and do at a facility. For those that couldn't go to the facility, they had this PowerPoint available, and somebody had actually sent me this PowerPoint. I will be doing like a little chop up of his video. He did his own type of like reaction, breakdown, response video. So it's cool to see from the point of view of a Calvert County government employee, what they think about this training and what they think about the movement in general. I think he's a like a park ranger or like a parks police down there. But yeah, so it's cool to see like a government perspective on the First Amendment auditor training and kind of where they lie in the whole situation. But I will say this LGIT company is just complete shit. The dude says multiple times, like he makes ignorant comments about First Amendment auditors, myself and a few other people in general, and then we'll always follow it up with like, I guess it's just the cynic in me. I guess I'm just being cynic, or like whatever the fuck he says. He's saying that he's being very cynical in his thought that we're all just doing it for the wrong reasons and this, that, and the third. And it's like, well, yeah, if you're going to go into it with that type of view or like that point of view on it, then of course you're going to think it's like that. If you're already going into it biased, you dickhead. So, alrighty, what's going on, squad? How y'all doing? Let's go ahead and get this thing started.
I want to thank you all for coming to First Amendment Auditor Training today. I do appreciate it.
Let me get a 1 in the chat if y'all can
We're going
hear
to
it.
get started in just a second. We may have a few more people joining us. We want to try to get you out of here on time. The one thing I want to let you know is that we've gotten a lot of requests for this training. I've been told by a lot of people, Matt, it's an hour. I can't really drive more than 20 minutes for an hour-long training, so I'm not coming. But I still want it. So we are going to be recording this class. That's Samuel.
My bad. I wanted to pause it for a second just to make sure y'all can hear and it's like good. I know you guys can hear it because I see the ones echo. All right. See, that's what I was worried about. That's what I was worried about. Then I'm going to have to go ahead and mute my mic while I let it play because it's my mic's picking it up is what it is. So when I pause the video to make a comment or something, I'll unmute my microphone.
Samuel is here with me today. Samuel's recording the class. So I am going to have to ask you, because we're recording it, to hold your questions till the end, because it'll just make for a cleaner recording for us. But I am here to talk about anything and everything that you want with regards to audits. My next thing I have on my calendar today is a 3 o'clock meeting. So if you want to stay here till 3, I'm all about it, talking about these issues, talking about what some of you might have experienced yourselves with regards to auditors, and all of that. I think that there's a lot of valuable lessons we can potentially learn from each other. Before I get started, I want to tell you I did this in College Park a few weeks ago. And the crazy thing about College Park is the day before, I get an email, I think it's from the HR director, saying, we were audited months ago and we didn't know it. Because the auditor came into City Hall, talked with some folks who were behind the counter in their new City Hall building, behind some plexiglass, asked them a question, they politely answered, he went upstairs, encountered a guy named Bill, and Bill just talked to him, answered some questions. Then he was interested because the top half of the building is occupied by the University of Maryland. It's a 4th-floor building. Wanted to get access up there. They told him he needed an appointment. But it was completely uneventful because everybody he went to treated him nice enough. Nobody was rude or discourteous to him, so he didn't make anything of it. And the thing I want to tell all of you is that's the type of audit I hope all of you get to have.
All right, so I wanted to pause that for a second because he's literally talking about me. And it was very early on in my career. I had happened to go to the College Park City Hall when it was very newly built. I think it was like the first week or 2 weeks that it was open. A buddy of mine drives past on the way to work, put me onto it. So I went up there and had a good experience. Like he said, I came in, nobody was rude or disrespectful to me. I spoke to the gentleman, Bill. We had a good rapport. He informed me of what the top floor of the building was being used for the University of Maryland, gave me the numbers to reach out to them and attempt to get upstairs and check that building out. So it was a good audit and it was pretty cool. So it was good to see him actually give the right information in this and say that it was a good audit instead of being like he was instigating or this or that or the third, But yeah, so that can be found very early on in my video profile or library.
That somebody has come in and boom, we didn't know about it. Management found out about it because they were getting ready for the training, and it's like, oh, we were audited. And all of a sudden the mayor, HR, they're like, wow, how'd this happen? I think Bill gets a gold star because Bill he was talking to him, just was enough to get him to go. He was someone we'll talk about a bit, the Annapolis auditor. Because the Annapolis auditor can't do enough in Anne Arundel County or Annapolis anymore, so he is branching out. So with that said, I'm just going to get these doors closed.
That's like saying if somebody names their business like Annapolis Lawn and Landscape, that they're not allowed to do any type of landscape work outside of Annapolis because that's the name that they chose for their business. Like, come on, bro. There's only so many places in Annapolis. Brother Lou, thank you, my guy. Hey, appreciate you, my boy. All right, let's go ahead and get back into it.
And we'll get started. All right, First Amendment audits, what you need to know. Let's go, everybody, off away for an instructor to start a class. Everybody close your eyes for a minute. Let's close your eyes, please don't fall asleep. Close your eyes and think about it. It's a lovely December morning. It's a lovely Wednesday morning. You happen to be in your town hall, city hall, county administration building, whatever it is. You're right near the front door for some reason, and somebody comes in with a camera, video camera, whether it's strapped to their chest, whether they're holding a phone in front of them. Heck, some of them have their own cameraman. But somebody comes in, and as soon as he encounters you or she encounters you, they say, what's your name, what do you do, and how much do you make? This is going to be sort of disarming to some of you. You're going to be, whoa, what's going on here? Why are you asking me these questions? What you do, what your response is in the next 30 seconds is going to determine whether your town, city, or county is on YouTube that night, generating hundreds, if not thousands, of hits, and generating money for an auditor. Because auditors are all about trying to catch you in a moment where you're going to be rude, discourteous. Heck, if they hit the jackpot, they'll get arrested. All right? To me, and it's the cynic in me, I've talked to people who tell me, Matt, these people are crusaders. The cynic in me tells me, no, they're not. That at this point, although auditing may have started,
I just feel like that's not good to have the person who's teaching the class admit that, like, regardless of what anybody says to him, he just automatically believes the worst for the situation and thinks that people are out here to cause issues or problems. Like, that's a very biased teacher.
with people with great ideas of making sure our rights are protected. To me now, it's all about the money, right? So what we have is people who are deciding, well, I'm a citizen journalist, and I'm just gathering information, and I'm trying to make sure that this local government's going to protect everyone's right to record. So you can all open your eyes. Here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover the scope. We're going to cover the scope of the First Amendment, who auditors are and why they do what they do. And finally, we're going to talk about what local governments and their employees can do to prepare for and handle a First Amendment auditor. I've been to law school, ladies and gentlemen. For 16 years, I was a practicing attorney here at Legit. I handled 3 types of cases. I defended law enforcement officers, corrections officers, and did employment litigation. Okay? I've learned the First Amendment. In law school, they teach you it's at least half a semester. In constitutional law, you can take entire classes on it. I am going to strive to teach you the First Amendment in 5 minutes. I'm going to do my
Thank you, Brother Charlie. Thank you, First Capital. Oh, Brother Tom, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
best. Try to help
Tom, hop in here if you want to.
you to understand it, okay? First and foremost, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution tells us all that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech or the press. And we're talking about people who are videotaping. So some people come out to me right up and they say, Matt, what the heck does videotaping, some Joe Schmo off the street, what does that have to do with the First Amendment? That person's not a member of the press. That's not speech. Well, the reality is the Supreme Court has told us that video recording is covered by the First Amendment. Because as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, it is expressive conduct or information gathering. And what the Supreme Court does is it reads that First Amendment really broad. So it says that we as citizens have the right to videotape out in the world. Okay? The other thing, I'm going to teach you all something that you didn't know today. You all are journalists, if you so choose to be. Every single one of us has the right to declare themselves, I am a citizen journalist, and poof, you automatically are. All right? These people call themselves journalists. Most of them, if not none of them, have credentials from MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, the Washington Post. Their credentials are the fact that they said, I am gathering information. That's it. Some people try to say, well, if you don't have credentials, you can't show me credentials from the agency you work for, you got to go. Well, that's not right, because all of us can be journalists. Now, what we're here for really to talk about is the phenomenon of auditors showing up in particular at local government buildings and local government workspaces, right? And their ability to record in public areas. Courts have already told us across the country that law enforcement officers can be recorded when they're out in public. Right? That's been the law for years in this country. Law officers out arresting somebody, engaged in a traffic stop, whatever it might be, the public has the ability to record it. There are certain limitations on that we can talk about a little later, but we have that right. So what everybody is doing is
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the Continental has the greatest point right here to like everything that they say. If the employees just did the job the way that it was intended to be done and treated the people with like the bare minimum of respect and dignity, then auditing wouldn't even exist. There would be no need for any of us to ever go out and make another video because every interaction would go smoothly in the way it's supposed to go. So yes, thank you. That is the best comment that can ever be made right there.
Interpreting that to mean that, you know what, it's a public building, City Hall. So the public has just as much right to record a member of the public, sorry, a non-law enforcement employee than any other, than a law enforcement officer. We can do the same thing, which is why the rise in auditors, because we have the ability to go into a public building and record. This is where it starts to get dense, and this is where in law school it gets real complicated. As far as the law is concerned, there's 3 different places that you can exercise your right to speech. Either a public forum, a designated public forum, or a non-public forum. Where are you communicating with people? Public forum is simple and straightforward. It's a sidewalk, it's a street, it's the park, anywhere traditionally where people can just start talking, say whatever they want. All right? These are places where you can say almost anything. A local government, all they can do is put what's called certain time, place, and manner restrictions. We tell people you can say whatever you want on the street corner, you can say whatever you want in the middle of the park, but when you do it at 3 a.m. when people are sleeping, maybe it amounts to disorderly conduct. All right, because now it's a disturbance of the peace of some kind. But in public forums, those places where people have traditionally engaged in assembly or debate, we let them pretty much say and do whatever they want. Right? That's why you see a lot of auditors do their work from public sidewalks, because they feel that is just absolute. I can record whatever I want from this sidewalk. You cannot make me move unless I'm blocking the sidewalk and traffic can't get through. The other thing we have is a designated public forum. And this is typically on public property. You've opened it up for public use for some type of activity. And most of you have some type of city council meeting, town council meeting, county commissioner meeting, whatever it is. You have some type of chambers, and those chambers are a good example of a designated public forum. You open those spaces up twice a month, once a week, whatever it is, and you have a public meeting. Again, you can put restrictions on that, time, place, and manner. A lot of our local governments tell folks you only get 3 minutes. Some people say when we're having public comment today, you can't comment on anything. You can comment on what the topic is that we're discussing right now. So there are certain restrictions.
That's exactly what Annapolis does. They give you 3 minutes and they try to restrict it to what the agenda is. I just tell them whatever the fuck it is. I feel like when I go down there, I never follow whatever the agenda is.
That can be put in place. Right? It is a little harder to put in restrictions. Then we have what are considered non-public forums, and they are all over the place in our local government buildings. Right? Those are the areas where our private offices. That's where information is kept that we don't want the public going into. Just traditional areas where the public doesn't get in there. Great example is when I go to police departments across the state. Most police departments, all I can ever do is get into the lobby. In the lobby, there's a bunch of doors that would take me around the building, but all those doors say personnel only, authorized staff only. They've been ready for audits for years in law enforcement because these signs have been up, the doors are locked, nobody can get past those things. Our local governments, though, City Hall, Town Hall, the county administration buildings, they're not prepared for that. And that's why auditors have been able to get in. And we're going to talk a lot about what we do to protect our non-public forums to make sure that auditors don't start just pulling on doorknobs and opening doors and going places you don't want them. So who can you expect? I started with Samuel earlier this summer getting ready for a Mako conference where I talked about auditors. And I watched a lot of videos, and so did Samuel. I went down a rabbit hole, spent 2.5 days watching videos. Crazy the stuff you get to see. What I can tell you is auditors come in all shapes, sizes, races, colors, religions, anything. You have no idea who it might be. The other thing, they show up dressed like me in a jacket and tie. They show up in gym shorts. They look like they just rolled out of bed. Anybody that might come in. The other thing that I want to tell you is they may not even be from your community. As far as we can tell right now, we have one what I will call homegrown auditor. We call him the Annapolis Auditor or the Anne Arundel County Auditor.
Hey, he put some respect on my name. I feel like the Birdman interview where he's like, put some respect on my name. Y'all gonna put some respect on it. That's how I felt for a second. I also felt like he's wrong in there as well. I felt very late to the game as far as Maryland auditors. There was a few other people that had already been down here. A Young City goes out and audits police all the time. He just does it in a live stream manner more than just like vlog style views. But Mr. Porter was going out and doing protests. There was the Chef Justice guy. There's also the Angry Vet. There's a couple different people from Maryland that are out here doing stuff. I felt very late to the game, but at least he's putting some respect on it. So appreciate your boy there.
Started down there, Anne Arundel County, Annapolis. He is branching out. He's the one who went to College Park. He's been to some of our other towns. He's the only one we're aware of here. We are aware, though, of other auditors coming from other parts of the country now. There's an auditor from Long Island who was recently in Hagerstown. He conducted an audit at the post office. The post office staff didn't like the fact that the auditor was there, called the police. The police arrested him, creating a problem for them. But that's what we have. There was nowhere else for him to go. New York has been done. New Jersey's been done. Pennsylvania's done. Maryland is uncharted territory right now for auditors. That's where they're coming. The other one we're seeing is there's someone who goes by the name of the Delaware Defender, who, lo and behold, he's from Delaware. Right? What does he do? He's done Delaware now, so he is coming in and starting to bother our towns on the Eastern Shore, trying to see what they can do, whether they'll protect rights. As far as I'm concerned, who should be concerned about whether any of your towns, counties, or cities protect an individual resident's right to videotape? It's the residents, right? The business owners? What the heck does somebody from Long Island care about what little Hagerstown, Maryland does? Or what your little town does? So why are they here? Again, the cynic tells me it's about money. Okay? The other thing to understand is some auditors, a lot of them come alone, but as I said earlier, some of them show up now. They've been at it for so long, they're so good at it, they've made enough money, they buy expensive cameras.
I know, again, like he is so, and he admits it himself, cynical and just so biased of auditors or the movement or like the thought behind it at all. So like he's the worst person to be teaching this if exercising your rights is now considered bothering somebody. He's like the folks that'll say you're causing a disturbance by simply holding a camera. You're disrupting the flow of business. And it's like, I can't control that these grown-ass adults are getting up and stopping their job. But he literally is the worst person to be teaching this class.
Equipment, and they show up with a camera person. I've seen one guy who's got two people with him. It's interesting. Why do they do what they do? Again, they consider themselves activists and citizen journalists. They believe at the core is what they'll tell you is that I'm all about open government and making sure that everything is transparent, that you're going to protect my right to record. We're going to record our interactions all over the place, typically in a government building, no? And the thing about it, and we'll get more into it in a little bit, is a lot of them are rude. And what they want is immediate, unfettered access to employees, to officials, buildings, workspaces, and some of them want information. Some of them will come in and say, well, after they've bothered you, after they've tried to annoy you by just asking you your name, your title, how much you make, then you say, well, my name's Bob, my name's Matt, I work in Human Resources. You can contact, the administration.
I've also never seen a single auditor walk into, and again, I could be wrong, walk into a building, walk straight up to the first person they see, stick the camera in their face and go, what's your name? What do you do here? And how much money do you make? And depending on what that person says, decides if their town's on YouTube that night. Like, no one just walks in and does that. Usually someone will start harassing the person or being like, you can't film here or da da da. Like, there are very few auditors that go in and like instigate any problems just for shits and giggles. Come on now, brother.
And they'll tell you what my salary is. I prefer not to talk about it. What's your name? Oh, I don't answer questions. You work for me. So what they're trying to do is annoy you. They're trying to bother you. But some of them will come in and say, well, I want to make a Public Information Act request. Or I want to file some type of complaint. So some of them do come in under the guise that, yes, I'm recording, but I'm also here because I want to exercise another right, which is coming to get information or file some type of complaint. They do like to target law enforcement, whether they are at the police station or on patrol, front-facing staff for any local government. They love public officials if they can get in front of them. They do. Unfortunately, some public officials try to get into a battle of wits with these people, and it's not a good idea because their goal is to frustrate you. When you get frustrated, you lash out, you say things you didn't want to say. That makes for lots of YouTube hits. The other thing they do is they will also target individuals who are going to react negatively because they want them to call the police. You can go and watch and call up First Amendment auditors on YouTube. Some of them will go to a place like the gas station, and they'll stand on the curb. They're on the sidewalk. Public sidewalk, every right. Imagine you're at Costco on Saturday morning, filling your car up. You've got a day's worth of errands to run. You're not happy about it. It's not a good time to try to run errands, how crowded it is out there. Everybody's shopping. And someone's just standing there in the corner, videotaping you, pumping gas. At least one of you in here is going to either contact management or call the police and say there's some person out here who's videotaping. They shouldn't do it. I want you to come out and talk to them. Because why should anybody be recording what's going on at the gas station? Is it exciting? No, you're pumping gas. Why should anybody care? But the auditor cares because he wants to find that person who's going to be upset, who's going to call the police. And then they're taking the choice. Then they're hoping that the officer's going to come and say, well, you can't videotape. You got to go. If you don't go, you're under arrest. Or the person refuses to answer the officer's question. The officer says, well, forget you then. You're not listening to me. I'm going to arrest you, whether they really have a right to or not. That's what they're hoping for. So they will even target non-government places with the hopes of getting a police officer there who might act negatively. They'll video on sidewalks, the exteriors of buildings, parking lots. One of the craziest things I've seen, one of the ways they like to get to people, town hall is right here. Police department is right here next door. What's in between? A nice big parking lot where everybody parks. But that parking lot has no gate around it, right? Everybody can just walk through the parking lot. So what do auditors do? Well, I've been to City Hall. Now I'm going to go to the police station, and I'm going to go through the parking lot, and I'm going to stop at every car and record the license plate. Who in here, if they saw somebody in your public parking lot recording license plates, is going to call the police? Because you're freaking out and you're wondering what this person's doing, right?
I agree, Blue Vegas, because the newspaper article that the local paper here wrote about me, God, I don't know, back in like July or August of last year, their three main sources were the mayor, the person who was putting up on unconstitutional signs and asking them to write the article, the lady who was denying me a service by not allowing me to file a Public Information Act request at City Hall, which is a crime, and then the police spokesperson who admitted to never watching my videos. So you've got two people that are biased, one of them asking you to write the article, and the third person admits to never watching my videos. Great sources. It's like they don't watch shit. They don't do anything. They literally just like, as the guy said the other day, they don't watch the videos. They just read the comments.
So that's what they do. They call the police. Well, why are you here? This is staff parking only. Okay, it's staff parking only, but it's open to the public. I watched a bunch of people walk from building to building. Everyone goes through the parking lot. I have a right to record here. Some of them get arrested for that. That puts money in their pockets because you can't arrest them simply for walking through a parking lot and taking video of someone's parked car. You don't have any expectation of privacy in what your license plate is. You drive around with it every day. The public can see it. They also like to record traffic stops, crime scenes. Post office is a popular place because it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. The Hagerstown audit involved the post office. Auditor came out, there's a couple of different auditors from Long Island, came down to the post office down there. And the interesting thing about post offices is they are quasi-federal property. They are considered a public space. The U.S. Postmaster General has issued some rules for post offices. It's called poster number 7. If the local post office manager actually read the poster, it would say people can come in and photograph. The thing about saying someone can photograph is courts include videotaping as photography. So if you have a rule that says they can take photos, well, that includes video. In Hagerstown, the manager never hung the poster. Nobody ever read it. Nobody ever provided the postal staff with the training. When the auditor came in, they got very upset. They called the police. The police hadn't been trained in audits, didn't know what they were. They ended up arresting the individual, and it's a matter we were able to settle here at Legit. And it's all on YouTube because the auditor talked about it. We were able to settle it for $12,500.
Yeah, that's the Long Island audit case. I know somebody had asked earlier if that was what somebody was, or that's what he was talking about in the thing. And yeah, that is Long Island audit won a $12,000 settlement with the city of Hagerstown.
For a guy who lost a few hours of time. When I taught this class this summer, again, it was a 20-minute presentation as part of a panel. That presentation was one of our county attorneys shared it with all the staff in that county. And a little while later, I get an email from a county employee who basically calls me an idiot. Tells me that I don't understand that auditors are all about protecting our rights.
Someone sent this guy an email and called him an idiot? No way. I can't believe that. He's lying. No one would do that to him.
It's that I was far too cynical in thinking it's all about money. So what am I going to tell you right now? Some are going to be respectful. Some. There's a guy in California posts the most boring audits I've ever seen. His goal really seems to me to be to convince people that I have this right and let me record. He has conversations with people. He doesn't argue with them. He doesn't call them names. He just wants to engage in a conversation, and when it's over, they let him go about his way, and he records the flowers, and he likes to talk about the flowers at all the city hall buildings in California because they're awful pretty. Right? But they're boring because he doesn't do anything that...
He's talking about Bay Area transparency here, correct? That's who, like, when I listened to this last time, that's who I thought he was talking about. But then I don't really remember him ever, like, saying anything about pretty flowers at City Hall. But I feel like Bay Area transparency is someone that is usually having the conversations and, like, educating in a very nice, respectful, and good manner, like in a good sense for the cause of auditing or, like, the movement in general. I feel like Bay Area transparency is definitely a good egg. But yeah, I wasn't exactly sure who he was talking about. I am against it. Damn. All right. Yeah, I was curious exactly who he was talking about.
Is going to cause people to get upset, to get agitated, or anything like that. A lot of them at least appear non-confrontational, you know, because they're just ignoring you. They think they're being non-confrontational because they're just not talking to you. Just let me be, I'm just recording. But that's sort of antisocial, though, right? Somebody's recording and you ask them a question, you expect them to answer. So some of them do prefer to remain silent. Some, again, like the California auditor, they'll be nice to you and they'll talk to you. Now, this is how I truly believe most behave. This is where we are now with auditing in this country. They refuse to self-identify or explain their activities because they want to make you and your staff uneasy and uncomfortable. They ask lots of questions but refuse to answer any. Some will be going as close to the line as possible to provoke a fight, but they're never going to cross the line. They have enough self-control in most cases that they're not going to do anything, but they're hoping that you're going to just go off.
Whoops.
A lot of them now have a significant YouTube presence. So they want to be argumentative, confrontational, disrespectful, unprofessional. Some of the craziest audits you will see are the individuals who live stream them. It's one thing for me to go in and start interacting with somebody, right? I start acting, let's say I'm going to pick on Samuel. He's the only one whose name I know in the room, right?
Yeah, Lou, I swear by the way he talks about it, like he must have gotten embarrassed by an auditor at some point in time in his career. He probably tried to argue with one and got embarrassed, or his wife did or something, because he just sounds so just like mad. He's so butthurt at the fact of auditing in general. He just like can't fathom that it would be for anything other than, as he says, money and confrontation. It's a fucking asshole.
I'm going to pick on Samuel. I go in and I am questioning his intelligence because he's saying I don't have a right to record in this building. I might be calling him some names. Then all of a sudden, I turn the camera on myself and I start talking to my audience. Why? Because I'm asking them to give them.
Yes, this is the guy right here. Average GAU 17 enthusiast. I believe this is the one that sent me the video itself. The employee. He's cool.
Give me money in real time. And you know what they're doing? They are. You can watch some of them. People have hundreds of dollars to give auditors. I don't have hundreds of dollars to give an auditor. I'm not going to give some knucklehead doing stuff like this my money. But there are people out there who are doing that. And then all of a sudden, after about a minute of pandering to the audience, they just go right back to yelling at Samuel, questioning his intelligence. You don't understand the law or anything like that. In an attempt, again, it's because it's going to continue to generate more time, more money, longer videos, more commercial time, all of that. So what are some things they're going to ask and going to say? What's your name? What do you do here? How much do you make? They love to ask our law enforcement officers, what's your badge number and what's your name? I find it interesting because almost every police officer you encounter, his name is right there. It's right over their heart in big letters. What's your name? Can you read? It's right. You're a First Amendment auditor. You think you can read because you're a citizen journalist, right? But they do that. Then they ask you your badge number. And then a lot of them, what they will say is, now go get your supervisor because you're not intelligent enough to deal with me. Which to the average person is going to kind of be offensive, right? I know what I'm doing. I know my job. I can handle you. But what are they doing? They're pressing buttons. They're trying to get you angry. They're trying to get you annoyed. They want to know, how do I get a complaint or a public information form? They love to say, am I detained or am I under arrest? Because we've been talking about the First Amendment now. Once they are detained or under arrest, now we're talking about the Fourth Amendment, and we're talking about big dollars once someone has been detained or arrested. Then they will try to get you into a conversation about what the First Amendment is. And for most of us, we haven't thought about the First Amendment since like junior or senior year in high school, right? Somebody taught it to you in some type of civics class. Other than that, we know what it is, but we can't argue the nuance of it. So what do? They start arguing the nuances of the First Amendment. Oh, this is a public forum, a non-public forum. Oh, this and that. And all of a sudden your head's spinning. And what happens when your head starts spinning? What do? You lash out and you get angry. You say angry things. That's a great video. That's what they want. They will tell you that you don't work for me. I don't have to answer your questions. Any sort of thing to completely try to get you off guard. Again, the objective reason is all about the right, making sure that their right to record is going to be honored. The cynical view of all this is we record just because we want to make money on YouTube. The better the recording, the more clicks. If you actually watch the Annapolis Auditor's video from College Park, when you read the comments, they say basically to him, man, this is boring.
All right, hold on. He's talking about me right now, but I wanted to let y'all know who the gentleman that just popped in the stream. Oh, I got to mute it for a second. This is Brother Tom from First Capital Transparency. I met him, it's probably been a couple months now, back in November. I met him at the Gettysburg it was like the parade, the memorial like parade for the Battle of Gettysburg up there.
The Gettysburg Address.
Yep.
Lincoln.
Just last week or 2 weeks ago, he was up there in Frederick. Is it Frederick? I guess it's technically considered.
It was Boonesboro, Maryland.
Boonesboro, and they had a pretty big protest. Up there with Mr. Porter and them that ended up on the news. So I just want to let you guys know a little bit about who Tom was and what was going on down there. So definitely go check out his channel at First Capital Transparency. I'm going to throw this other guy, G17, in here too. And then I'm going to let this video play for a minute. He's actually the employee that sent me the video too. And then I'll pause it and unmute us and we can all like discuss it and shit in a minute.
Why? Because that's not what they're used to from the Annapolis Auditor.
What's up, brother?
They're used to confrontations. If you look at his other videos, he's made money. If you look at his College Park video, nothing. Because there's nothing to watch. He talked to Bill for 5 minutes. And he wandered the building and talked about the architecture. So it's all...
That's the way it should be, though. Like, I would love every video to go me walking in there, being respectfully and nicely treated by these people, and then leaving. Just a nice little.
All about the clicks it's going to generate. And then beyond that, as I said, if we get serious, if there's an individual who's detained, if they're arrested, now we're talking about the potential Fourth Amendment violation, the lawsuit that's going to be filed, and that's where the money can get really serious. Now, when I started teaching about audits, there's something that I didn't know about them. There's a dark side to them that nobody seems to talk about yet. Auditors have followers now. They have fans. What do fans do? Fans do some crazy things in this world. Some fans will call up the local government after the audit's been posted and see the behavior, and they make threats to staff, to elected officials. You know, we're going to come down. There have been death threats to individuals, elected officials, because their staff engaged in an audit that ultimately didn't go very well. Auditors don't talk about this. Auditors just say, I'm here to guarantee that your rights are protected. But they don't say anything about their followers who are making these kind of threats. And why not? Because the second they start turning on their followers and say, don't make threats, then the money might stop.
I wanted to pause that there because I have literally said multiple times in my videos, like, not to call up places and just be rude and call these ladies the C word or curse at people, to try at least be respectful. If you're going to call up and like file grievance and stuff, to be respectful. If not, it just like shits on the movement or what we're like going for in general. So he's just a dickhead, man. He's just wrong. Y'all can chime in. I'm gonna pause it for a second so you guys can like introduce yourselves and stuff too.
Yeah, and you know, I've never seen any auditor have any type of call to action. You know, I just think it's kind of a ridiculous point. And even if those things happen, that's, you know, not really on the auditor, because that's not what they're perpetuating. You know,
Exactly. These are like grown adults at the end of the day.
Yeah, like the actions of someone that watches them is not the responsibility of the guy who just made a video, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, you'd think that they would realize, oh, people are mad about the things that we're doing, but they'll be like, oh, there's people sending death threats and all that, and trying to make it out to be this big villainous scheme. But I don't know.
Now, has there been any like follow-up to this training or anything like else besides them just having to go to this anymore?
No, it's just another one of those, you know, like sign up for it and go to it. And I haven't heard anything back from anything. So I don't even know if they know that I made a video or that you're talking about it now or anything. But
I'm sure they will. I feel like they always have like a little spy watch it in the comments or something like that.
Yeah. Well, so the first time when I was telling you about the 20-minute training, like the initial one that wasn't technically supposed to be like all employee training, I kind of had like a flashback, but not really. It was like my like head leadership wanted to come talk to me, but my actual department chief just never let her come see me. They kept asking about me, asking if I was at work, and saying they wanted to come talk, but they were like, yeah, he's here, but like, I mean, what are you going to talk about? Like, there's nothing to talk about. So
hell yeah,
good on my department on that. But
yeah, that's awesome. They stood up for you. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and you know, like I go do my job, you know, like there's no reason for me to just get canked out of nowhere. So it'd be pretty obvious, you know, what it's over if that did happen. But I mean, I'm still scheduled out. You know, the park I work at needs people to work, so
still get yeah. Now, do you want to let them know what you did, or do you want me to? I can put up like a link to your video if you want me to.
Yeah, I don't mind. I don't really care. I mean, if they want to see my breakdown of it, I mean, I'm pretty sure you're gonna say all the same things that I said too. But yeah, I mean, if you want to link to it, I don't mind.
I just think it's nice to have like a different perspective, or at least one from like a county employee or someone that, you know, had to actually take the training. I feel like it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I
So, yeah,
wanted to go in person, but I mean, I think I told you when we were emailing that I was moving and starting college and all that, so I didn't end up getting to go in person. But kind of sad about that because I would have had a lot of questions for him at the end.
Oh, that would have been cool to actually be able to ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Heck
definitely.
yeah.
Especially since
Oh,
he blew me off after the first time I tried to talk to him.
yeah, that's ridiculous. Oh, here's your video link. I was like, I can't find the video link. There it is. All righty. Brother Tom, you want to add anything in before I start this back up real quick?
No, go ahead, because initially I was having trouble getting the link that you sent me because I didn't have internet service, so I missed the first half.
Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and throw it back on then real quick. And I'm gonna post your link in here real quick to G17.
The auditors just ignore it. They just tell you it's all about the right. So what about the dark side to it? Why don't you at least tell your followers not to make threats? But they don't seem to do that, because that would, to me, sort of start to limit the monetary value of doing audits. So Samuel and I watched a lot of videos. He's the one who found this one, I believe. It is a video from Rhode Island. We have a Long Island auditor. I said there's a couple of them. He's already been through Long Island, upstate New York, nowhere else to go, so he goes to Rhode Island, goes to a small town. On a given Wednesday, he goes to the police department, is videotaping. Chief Connors decides, forget this, you're under arrest, and arrests him for videotaping at the police station, not listening to what he thought were lawful police commands to stop recording and all of that. The auditor is arraigned that day. The judge says, come back in 6 weeks. We'll have another court appearance. In the interim, don't go to any city-owned properties. What does the auditor decide to do? The next day, the auditor decides to go to town hall because he wants some information. He wants to make a Public Information Act request. We're going to watch 3 different parts of this video that he made when he went to City Hall. I like to call them the good, the bad, and the ugly. The first person you're going to meet, other than hearing the auditor's voice, is you're going to see Jessica. She is an employee of the town, and as far as I'm concerned, Jessica does a great job.
I need to pull some public records. Jessica, I need to pull some public records. No, I could do it through your email.
You guys know who this is?
I can't remember who this one is.
That sounds like auditing Erie County almost.
Okay, AEC. Heck yeah. All right, dope.
I think he puts the sources at the end of the video.
Okay.
So you should be able to find it there.
That's cool. He actually does that.
Email, but I do need to know about it. Did you guys have an emergency board meeting regarding me?
No, we did not, sir.
That's not what I heard.
You didn't?
No.
We did not have an emergency meeting. We already had one scheduled.
You have one scheduled.
We meet every week.
Okay, when is that?
So you ended up being on the agenda
Which is when?
every Wednesday.
It's on Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
So you had a meeting already regarding me?
Yes.
You
we had a
did?
meeting on Wednesday.
Was
was
it?
not scheduled special for you.
Yes, it was.
It was already scheduled.
Yeah,
If you look at the
you
town
made an
website,
exception for me
sir,
though, that's all.
We meet every Wednesday.
It's okay.
So they talked about you, yes.
I know.
Okay.
So I'd like to pull all records regarding that.
So who thinks Jessica's doing a good job? Right? She's just talking to him. She's explaining to him. He thinks they had a special meeting because in a small town, we arrested an auditor, came in from Long Island. He's a troublemaker. He's an outsider. We didn't have a special meeting for you. We meet every Wednesday. Did we talk about you? Absolutely. So what's she going to do now? Arguably, she's just going to go find the agenda for the meeting from the night before because he wants whatever records there are. There's no minutes yet. But I'm sure she can get him the agenda so that he has that. And did any of you see the gentleman in the background? He's getting up. He's the mayor. His title's not mayor, it's not Burgess, it's something else, some other title that they use there. But he basically is the mayor. And now let's see what he does.
Regarding that.
Sir, you are interrupting.
Don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
Don't touch me.
Exit the door.
No,
You
I'm
are
not. I'm pulling
No,
public
you're
records.
interrupting the
No, I'm not.
operations of the town.
No, I'm not. Get out of my face.
You're
breath
in my
smells.
face.
No, you
Now
came
listen,
out here.
You're interrupting the process of our normal business operations.
I am conducting my
We
business.
have heard you request, go ahead and request in writing,
Yeah.
a 918 request, go
Okay.
right ahead.
All right. How do you
In the
know
meantime,
about that? You're the janitor.
Well,
Don't touch me.
You get out of here.
No, I won't.
Okay, we'll get the police down.
Go ahead. Call Connors.
You're so cute.
Call
You're
Connors.
so cute.
Call Connors, buddy. I'd love to see him again.
You would.
Who thinks our auditor is interfering with the ordinary operations of this local government? He's not interfering. Anybody in here who doesn't think he's being rude, he's being a little obnoxious, right? We come into City Hall, it'll be.
That's why I was confused on who it was at first, because he kept saying an auditor from Long Island, and I was like, that doesn't sound like Long Island audit at all.
Nice if we said, please, can I please have this? Thank you. Not yelling at people, not engaging. Even Jessica, I think he was rude to Jessica. So, but what should our mayor be doing? Should our mayor be engaging in this? Does he probably have an office somewhere? Probably does. Second, the auditor came in, started talking to Jessica. In my opinion, he should have just gone back to his office and just hung out for a while. He didn't. We've seen this encounter, but you know what we're about to see? We're about to see the ugly.
Where
All
are
right.
you from, sir?
Me?
Yes.
I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions, so you just ask questions. Sir.
You work for me.
I work for you.
You do.
Are you a citizen of town of Charlestown?
I need to live here to get business from you guys?
Oh, do you have a proof of residency?
How did I put in a FOIA request with this town if I don't live here?
You know why.
Do I not have access to this?
You know why.
I have to live here to get services from you? Is that what you're telling me? What if I wanted to buy a house here?
He gets that last drink of coffee or water, and now he's ready.
Here we go.
Here we go.
You want to get tough again? Are you serious? Dude, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Guys, look at this. Look at this. That's assault. That's assault. He's assaulting me.
You're interrupting.
He's assaulting me.
You're interrupting town.
Get your hands off of me.
Come on.
Get your hands off of me now.
Out the door.
Get your hands off of me now.
This video actually goes on a little while before the mayor is actually able to get him out of the building. We stopped the recording there because that's when the F-bombs start, and I like to try to keep it PG here. If you watch the whole video, and the website's listed on the sources page at the end of the PowerPoint, the guy goes out into the parking lot. What do you think he does, the auditor? He calls the state police, and about an hour or so later, what do you think happens to the mayor? He's arrested for battery. Now here in Maryland,
Sorry, there was like some loud ass noise outside of my house, and I kept thinking it was my roommate. So my roommate just came up here, knocked on the door, and was like, "Was that you?" We were sitting here geeking out. I don't know what the hell is going on outside. My bad.
Maryland judiciary is very open. I can tell if I were arrested 6 months ago for an event like this, anyone could put my name on the Maryland judiciary website, and they could see what the outcome of those charges were. It's not as easy to do that in Rhode Island, so I still haven't quite figured out what's happened yet. But I'm fairly certain that the mayor got in a little bit of trouble for this. And he should know better, right? He's the mayor. He's been around a long time. He should not have been baited into what happened, but he was. Now let's talk about this a second. As I told you, the day before this event, he was arrested by the police department for videotaping. And then when they tried to find out why he was there, he wouldn't answer questions, so you know what, you're under arrest. Right? He's got a lawsuit for that one. Fourth Amendment violation, you violated my First Amendment rights, wouldn't let me record, then you unlawfully arrested me without probable cause. So that's one lawsuit. But you know what he's got now because of the mayor? Completely separate lawsuit. That includes battery, First Amendment violation, arguably maybe a Fourth Amendment violation against the mayor. It's kind of questionable. This man, you know what's about to happen for this guy, the auditor? There you go. He is about to get paid. The value of this, well into the six figures, ladies and gentlemen.
He like ignores the fact that the reason the guy's getting paid is because the government official or the mayor or whoever completely overreacted and attacked him. Like, he's not taking any like accountability for the government presence or like pointing the finger at a grown adult for doing it. He's being like, well, this guy's getting paid money, so this is a bad thing now.
Yeah, it's a common theme.
Yeah, there's never any like finger pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't know if you already listened to that part or not, but there's a point where he's talking about auditors targeting easily excitable or easily aggravated people, and I'm like, I said it in my video. I was like, how do you even do that? Like, how do you just look at someone and be like, that guy is easily aggravated. I'm going to target him so I can get paid.
Right? Like how like they act like I sit at home and somehow know like, okay, at the Treasury building there's gonna be Janice, Kevin, and Michael, and Mike, yeah, like Michael's gonna be very excitable, da da da. It's like you don't know any of that when you go out here. We don't know specific people working at these buildings. Like they're not being personally targeted or harassed or anything. They just I don't know, man. They
Yeah,
say to
And
me,
this
like,
dude
this
thinks
guy's
that you
getting
guys are
paid.
like Batman level detectives that set up everything to get the perfect lawsuit so you can run home with a
Literally.
bag.
I left my house yesterday not knowing exactly where I was going and then go, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna go out there and do this today. Like there, I don't know to the level of planning what other people have, but I go with the flow, like whatever I'm feeling that day. When I go out to film, if I want to go to the Eastern Shore and drive 2 hours away and shoot a video, I'll do it. If I want to sit here in Annapolis and go 5 minutes down the street, I'm doing it.
Oh no, dude! Matt Peter said that you ran out of stuff to do in Annapolis, so you got to branch out. That's what he
Yeah,
told us.
And he could probably also get the mayor for dereliction of duty because he was there trying to get a FOIA request. And apparently, I don't know if he was denied because he didn't live in that local town, but just that dereliction of duty, I feel that it doesn't matter where you live. Just like he said, hey, I could be here buying a house.
yeah, yeah. I did hear him say that. Like, if I don't live here, I can't get services. And the guy was like, "Nope."
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
another point Matt Peter makes too about, well, why does someone from wherever else care about what's going on in little old here? And I'm like, come on,
yeah,
dude. Like, why does it matter where you're from? If people are getting mass murdered in another town in the country, I'm going to care about that. So like, why not
exactly.
anything else, you know?
Literally. He just, it's like I said, if someone names their business Annapolis Lawn and Landscape, like what are they not allowed to hey, all right, I'm gonna put this video back on. This is actually my lawyer calling me real quick, so I'm gonna throw this back on and mute my microphone.
Okay.
My bad.
All right? Juries don't like this. The guy is rude, he's obnoxious, but he hasn't crossed that line. And we expect more of someone like our mayor, especially when we can press into Jessica, right? Jessica understood it, she kept her cool. The mayor, he's just older, he should be wiser, he should understand. But he couldn't keep his cool. And that's going to become ultimately a big problem for that town. So how do we prepare for an audit? First of all, who should expect to be audited? Every single one of you. Doesn't matter how big you are, whether you're a city, a county, a town, nobody's too big, nobody's too small. Doesn't matter if you're urban, rural, or suburban, they are coming. And why? Because there's the opportunity to make money, and the other parts of the country they've already been to. There's nowhere else to go. Maryland is a great place. We are primed for this right now. We'll see a different couple types of audits. Sometimes police initiate the contact with the auditor, usually because police have been called to the scene. Sometimes the auditors, though, go out and interact with the police. They just find them and they start interacting with them, like at the scene of a traffic stop or an arrest. And other times the auditors, they just show up at the county office building, city hall, whatever it might be, and start engaging with folks. So how do we prepare? Well, look at your buildings, all of your buildings, all of your properties, and identify which are accessible to the public and which shouldn't be accessible to the public. For a lot of the town halls that I've been to, I think this is a fairly easy exercise because I walk in the front door, there's a lobby area, and then there's doors on either side, just like in a law enforcement agency, and I can put up signs there that say staff only. I can close those doors. The problem is those doors haven't been closed in 60 years because doors are open. We just go from one side of the building to the other. Everybody crosses through there. But now we have to put up signs that say staff only. In New England, there are town halls that are 300 plus years old. They have archways in the hallway that have never had doors on them, that they're putting doors up on now because they don't want auditors coming back throughout the building, whereas in the past they just like, the public, you want to come in and talk to the mayor? Well, the office is back there, go ahead. But now it's an auditor coming with a negative purpose, we want to keep them out. So which of those areas that should be deemed as non-public and put up authorized personnel sign, only sign, restricted area, whatever it is to make clear that only staff is allowed back here. Now, the thing about some of our local governments is we have doors with glass in them. The kind of things that are like fish bowls, right? Somebody can stand in the hallway looking at everything that's going on. Nobody ever wants to put a sign right there on the glass. So we put a sign above the door. Do you know what an auditor says about a sign above the door? I didn't see it. What's the sight line? What's the average person's sight line? Where do we, if we put a sign on the door, where do we put it? We put it at like 5'6", 5'9", right? Everybody can see that there. So if you don't want to put it on the glass because you have that kind of setup, you put a sign on either side of that door at 5'6", 5'9", right? Right in that sweet spot so they can't say they didn't see it. The other thing they say is if you put the sign up, I've prepared for the audit, I've hung signs everywhere, but you keep the practice going of keeping the door open, it's useless. Because they don't see the sign on an open door, they blow right past it. Right? You've got to make sure that you close doors. It requires a significant change in behavior. As I said, doors that have never been closed. If you come into our lobby area, there's doors on either side. We've been here 16 years. I don't think they've ever been closed. But if we were a local government and I was preparing us for an auditor, exactly what I was saying is close that door there. The door to this room would say authorized personnel only, and the door just to the right and the door over here that leads towards the bathroom, the other part of the building would be closed, authorized personnel only. All they could do is get into our conference rooms and get into our lobby area. That would be it. Some of us have public counter areas, right? First floor, I went to Hagerstown. It's really nice setup there. The problem with some auditors is there's counter space. They will consider walking right up behind somebody. There's a customer working with a member of staff, paying a water bill maybe. They'll just come right up behind them and record. Do we want that? Nope. But it's a public space. What is telling them they can't do that? We need those signs that basically say, well, please wait here for the next available staff member. Just like they used to see at a bank. Please wait here for the next available teller. We put those signs, get a little stand 3 or 4 feet high right there. We have some of our local governments, particularly county governments or larger municipalities, we may have a suite area, right? You open a door, maybe the administrator's office, where the mayor's space is, and you have administrative staff right there. But there's private offices in the whole back there. What you need to do is you need to buy a signpost and you put a sign up that says staff only beyond this point. And put it right there in the middle of the space where the administrative assistant is, but you need to make it clear to anybody who comes into that suite, you can be here, but there's a desk here and a desk here. You can talk to these folks, you can record from here, but you are not getting past this point. You're not going to see what's in those offices back there. Right? Easiest way is we just put a sign on the front door, but some of our space just doesn't allow it. And we need to put in those other signs, internal, just standing mounted on some type of stand. Next thing to do, you've prepared your building, you've started hanging signs, you've spent plenty of money on signs. Who needs to be trained? All right? Some people say all employees, at a minimum, all front-facing staff. Anybody who is regularly coming into contact with the public. Law enforcement, because they're regularly coming into contact. Security staff, if you have them. Some of our local governments have security staff at the front door. I believe that Public Works and Parks and Rec are the future of audits, because to me, Public Works, Parks and Rec, they're out in the public all the time. They're doing a hard job. It's 98 degrees in the middle of summertime. They're working on a road, whatever it might be. It is hot. They are taking a 15-minute break, right? Well-deserved break. But what happens to somebody who's driving by saying, oh, these guys are doing nothing. They're just being lazy. I've been watching you for 12 minutes. You're just sitting around on my dime. I'm paying your salary. Get back to work. Start asking them questions. Start recording them. What's your average Public Works employee going to do when somebody comes up to them and starts being rude like that? It's the kind of person who might lash out, which does what? Generates videos. It generates money. All right? So I think it's important to train them to understand what might happen. Make sure that they understand that every project that they're working on, make sure you tape off the secure area. Because you want to keep the auditor away from getting in your face? Well, you're working on a project right here. Put up cones, a safe distance away. They may be able to get within 10 feet of you. I get it, that's still uncomfortable, but it's at least keeping them back. You've created this secure space for yourself. Any staff that regularly interacts with the public, I think all supervisors should get this training. First and foremost, what everyone needs to understand is you're a public employee. You have every right to be recorded. Some people say, what about my right to privacy? I have a right to privacy in this world. No, you don't. You don't. People have a right to videotape. How many of you go to your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews' soccer games on a given Sunday? You're at a baseball game, you're at a dance recital. Who is that parent that you know who records everything? And how many of you have been recorded by that parent because you just happen to be there? And do any of you get to say, stop recording me? Do any of you ever say, stop recording? Nope. It's just life, right? We're out in the world. As far as we're concerned as public employees, the same thing applies. You're out in the world, you're out in the workspace, they're going to have that ability to record. And the most important thing then is, once your employees understand that their consent is not needed, is to train them to how to respond. Now, every once in a while, somebody comes up to me and they say, Matt, well, what about Maryland's Wiretap Act? Some of you may remember a few years ago, Linda Tripp was arrested because she was recording her conversations with Monica Lewinsky about her relationship with former President Clinton. Simply put, Maryland law prevents you from recording telephone calls unless both people consent. Because it's telephone calls, it has nothing to do with videotaping. All right, but some people like to ask about that, and I just want to make sure that you understand that that has no impact here. That law doesn't apply to this type of situation. So what do we want to tell our staff? How to respond? Now that auditor comes in, they've got the camera strapped to their chest, on their shoulder, right in front of them. They're asking you questions. You know what? Take a moment and breathe. Just breathe. Stay calm, don't overreact. If you are someone who is front-facing and is taking payments, like a finance department or something, cover your stuff up. Because maybe you're working on stuff that's confidential. Information that you don't want to even accidentally get caught on the videotape. Even if the auditor is not intentionally trying to get confidential information, it might get recorded. So you want to secure that information. You want to be patient and polite. Don't be rude or dismissive. When I read about auditing, when I've watched some other classes, they say kill them with kindness. To me, that is the worst advice you can give somebody. I don't want you to engage in conversation with them. Be polite, okay? Answer some general questions. Where do I go to file a Public Information Act request? Well, this is where you go. If they're asking you harassing, annoying questions, I think you have the right not to answer them, right? I think you do. But don't engage in a conversation with them, because that's exactly what the mayor did. I guarantee you the mayor just thought, I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you, gosh darn it, you're not going to touch me. Well, what happened to the mayor? Hour later, he's led away from City Hall in handcuffs, right? Don't think that just because, you think that you can disarm this person and calm them down. Nope. They're trained and ready to try to push your buttons. Go about your regular duties. Don't detain them in any way. As long as they don't disrupt the workplace, let them be. You know what happens if you let them be? They leave. 10, 15 minutes later, there's nothing else to do. Especially if your workplace is narrow, just like our front lobby here. You can only record in our lobby for a few minutes before you're just like, I guess I'm out of here. There's nothing I'm going to be able to get here. Do not attempt to take their recording devices. Don't engage in any physical contact with them. To me, if you're a staff member, you encounter them. Once you've sort of set the ground rules, I've answered your question, I've told you who I am, you can go record. Let your supervisor know. Please don't pick up the phone and say, I need you up here immediately because there's an auditor here. That's just going to pique his or her curiosity and they might want to stick around longer. Send an email, just send a message, when you get a chance, can you come up here? Nothing to make it clear and obvious, because then the auditor is going to think, what? I've got this person scared. They're nervous. So what am I going to do? Now I'm going to start pushing the buttons as fast as I can until somebody gets up here, because maybe they'll lash out at me and maybe I get extra clicks tonight. So don't make it so obvious.
My bad. Sorry. I had a phone call. Really important there. So I appreciate everyone for just like listening if that guy was rambling or it got boring there for a second. Was it in the middle of something? Should I start the video back up? I didn't hear what it was just talking about.
He's just talking about how like this part's pretty mild. This is him telling the employees what to do. So basically, like, don't physically interact. Like, let them do their thing. Basically, but that's what's going on now.
All right. Then I'll start it back up real quick.
Obvious. Now, sometimes, although infrequently, they'll act inappropriately. If they're disrupting business, ask them to leave. If they are ruffling papers around on the counter, they're screaming such that work can't be done, ask them to leave. And if they don't, contact law enforcement. If they try to get into parts of the building that they can't get into because the sign clearly says staff only, tell them you can't go back there. Call law enforcement. Right? Don't physically interact with them yourselves. Don't try to stop them yourself. Right? You don't want to do that. All right? You're not trained to deal with that physical encounter. If they become threatening, abusive, or create any type of safety concern, call law enforcement. And again, if you haven't already done so and they start acting inappropriately, make sure you get in touch with the supervisor. And this time, just tell them I need you here quick. All right? When they first get there, try to let them know the best way possible. But once it goes south, I don't care what you say. Just let them know that they need to be up there. When you talk to people and teach the class like this, they say, well, Matt, what about safety? After September 11th, all of us heard, if you see something, say something. And a lot of us think that if we see somebody standing in a parking lot videotaping, or just randomly walking down the hallway in the county administration building with a camera trying to see if doors are open, because they love to do that. And once they get into a space, I'm just going to test doors. Any door that's unlocked, if there's no sign that tells me I can't go in there, I can go in there. A lot of them find the broom closet, right? Nothing very exciting in there, but they try doors, all right? If you see something, say something. If you are uncomfortable because this person is recording, please call law enforcement. I'm going to tell you most of them are not there to be any type of threat. They think they're doing a public service. But if you are concerned about your safety, don't interact with them, right? Don't physically interact with them. Contact law enforcement, right? If they threaten or brandish a weapon or anything, certainly call 911. But a lot of times, hopefully, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to do anything specifically to make you feel unsafe. But for some of us, the mere fact that they're videotaping makes us feel unsafe. And if you want to, call the police. Right? They can come and can take care of the situation. For law enforcement officers, I'd like to reiterate that the use of the recording device alone is not grounds for an arrest or a detention. So don't focus on the video recording. One of the best pieces of advice I've seen is for law enforcement officers, when you encounter an auditor, look and see what else they're doing. Are they blocking traffic? Well, that might be disorderly conduct. All right? Are they doing something else that's illegal that might allow you to detain them, ask them to leave, or whatever it might be? Officers have to have what's called reasonable, articulable suspicion to detain somebody and probable cause to arrest, and that's a whole nother semester's worth of law school, so I'm not going to waste your time with that. But our law enforcement officers understand what that means. But these are fairly high standards. It means we can't just take anybody into custody that we want. For law enforcement, as I told you, people have the right to record you during a traffic stop, right? Even if they're not involved in the traffic stop or the scene of an arrest. But what our officers can do is say, you need to step back because this isn't safe for you to be in this particular area. I'm conducting an arrest here. I'm conducting an investigation. Move back 10 feet. Move back 12 feet. You're not preventing them from recording. You're not putting them in a place where they can't see you. They're still able to record, but for safety reasons, you're moving them back for everyone's safety. All right? The other thing is to always remember to act with courtesy and respect because they really are trying to push law enforcement's buttons more than anyone else. Because a good video is great. It generates clicks. But an arrest, that's where the real money is. Okay? So, let's watching a video here out of Colorado. This individual is an auditor. He is well known.
All right, well, I'll use that second since he's transitioning to another video to pause. My bad, Tom. I didn't know if I had removed you from the stream or not. I saw that it had you on the outside. I didn't mean to cut you out. Oh, I can't hear you, Brother Tom. G17, you say something for me real quick?
Yeah, what's up?
Oh, okay, all right, it works. Tom, I can't hear you, brother. Yeah, I can't hear you. It's I can see the video. Let's see here. Let's see, brother Tom. I can see brother Tom, but it I can't hear. Can y'all hear him or no?
I can't hear.
No. All right, yeah, I think something happened with your phone, brother. Dang. But yeah, it's funny. People over here in the comments are just roasting this guy Matt as well. Everyone's just making fun of him. He's such a clown, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I had never made it this far into the video before. That's why I wanted to like sit here and actually like watch it with these people. That way we could all just laugh our asses off together because it's
Yeah, that last bit was pretty crazy where he said a good piece of advice that he heard from other law enforcement was that since you can't get them for having a camera, look for something else to get them on.
yep.
That's
Like
which cops already know
try
how to do.
basically instigate
But
something.
yeah, that was insane that he said that. Like I just think that's crazy.
I know, man. Like that, and that he like it just says that we're only out there to instigate something. Like that is the only.
Yeah, and he contradicts himself. It's
yeah.
crazy. Like at the end there, he was like, most of them don't want to do harm. They think they're doing a service, but the whole video, he spends the entire time saying that auditors are money grubbers, they're scammers, basically. Like,
Yeah, they're only here for drama and
yeah,
clicks and views
instigators,
and to make money on their videos.
yeah.
He's
And
good.
like I think I said it to you in an email too. This whole training could have been 15 minutes. It could have been the end slides where he describes what to do, and he could have did a brief like, here's what they do, and it could have been that. But like everything
Literally.
else was filler. It was filler of just him trying to convince every employee that he tells this to that you guys are the devil.
I don't know if you watch anime. This man is like the Kishimoto of the fucking of the like auditor teachers right now. He's just got like filler for days. Like you said, he could have
Yeah.
literally done the what to look out for, what to do if auditors do this, and how to like de-escalate. And it could have been a 15. Oh, my lizard light turned off. I was like, what the hell was that? It could have been a 15-20 minute training. But yeah, we're an hour and 17 minutes into it, and there's still like video left. I'm like, holy crap.
And like, despite I know for a fact that a lot of people in there probably just didn't really care that much, but like, you're just wasting so much county time too. Like you wasting an hour of these people's life just because you're mad about it. And
Just
he
bitching
works.
at the different auditors.
Yeah, and he works for the insurance company, so he's mad because his company has had to pay people out.
Duh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Yeah, he
And
works
I don't
for the
want to
company
give
that
like
pays
a
him
whole
out.
bunch of details, but I talked to Mike from Delaware Defender, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he mentioned something about legit being involved with some litigation he has.
So that's why he
which
was
is-
mentioned Delaware Defender too.
Yeah, he
That's
brought
why he
him
brought him
up.
up. I to be honest, I don't even know if I can sit here and watch the rest of this dumbass dude say this, but I am uploading it to my Google Drive. That way I can share the link if anybody does want to
Yeah, the rest
watch
of this
the
is
rest of
just
it.
it's bullshit. He lets this play, and then he does like a game with the audience where he's like, how much do you think he made? And he's like 10,000, 20,000. It's just like a game that he's playing with the audience. And
Jesus.
and then he talks about like brief synopsis, some weird thing, I think it was in LA, where cops are just blasting Disney music and like copyrighted music in an attempt to demonetize videos because they know that auditing's like a big thing out there, which is like just a dumb premise. And then someone from like the county commissioner board or something out there came out because it was 11 I think it was like 11 p.m. And he comes out, he's like, why are you just blasting music? And then this cop tries to explain to a commissioner, he's like, oh, there's a guy recording, so I'm trying to make sure his YouTube video gets demonetized. And then he's like, yeah, so
It's
don't
like,
do that because it's not worth it. And I'm like, well, I guarantee if there wasn't like a government official that came out in the middle of the night and got mad about it, he probably wouldn't have covered this. But,
Nope.
he's just trying to save face for their side.
Literally. That's hilarious because the dude from the Champ Thomas Scuddy, the deputy health director at the health department when I got arrested on January 27th, tried to do that. He like brought out Taylor Swift on his phone and tried to play it. And I just started dancing and singing along and like jamming to it. I was like, brother, that's not going to get my shit taken down. I pay for a fucking distribution license from a company in San Francisco or St. Louis.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Hey,
was
Terry, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, brother. There you go.
Okay. Hey, I wanted to just add real quick earlier when Press NH Now was in there with the mayor and the confrontation took place, it brought to my attention in the last several years when the auditors go out, we all know the difference between assault and battery. It was pretty much clear cut. We know what the difference between the two, but there's more and more of a crossover. I'm trying to get a definitive answer up here in Pennsylvania. I don't know what it is in Maryland, but in some states now, if you have a camera or a tripod, that's an extension of your arm. And so if someone touches your camera, that's considered assault now. So I don't know what it was in that particular video, if it was battery or assault or both.
What's crazy actually here in the state of Maryland, if your actions place someone in legitimate fear for their safety, that constitutes as assault here in the state of Maryland. So like even if like let's say I were to lunge at somebody and not even touch them, but I lunged at them and made them cower in fear for their safety, that would be considered assault here in the state of Maryland. I don't know. I don't believe it would be second degree. That might just be like first degree. I don't think, you know what I mean, or third degree, whichever one. I don't know which one is worse.
Right.
First, you know what I mean? I don't think it's considered second degree assault because that would be the actual touching. And like you said, if you're holding a camera, that's an extension of your body. So yeah, that would be the same thing. But yeah, even putting someone in fear for safety in the state of Maryland constitutes as assault. It's actually funny that you brought that up because I have a case tomorrow, and it's actually the one that my little brother was charged with assaulting a police officer and resisting arrest, and actually beat the case in a jury trial. They were just fucking like lying. It was so bad that they then charged me with the same crimes that he was charged with a year and a half after the statute of limitations had expired on being able to charge me with that. Skipped district court, sent it straight to circuit court with a they filed like a criminal something. I forget what the fuck it is. She just said it on the phone. But ultimately, I actually have that case tomorrow morning at 9:00 where I have to go for a third status conference for them trying to charge me with assault. And the assault that they're speaking of is putting this detective in fear for his safety. No one ever even touched him. But their whole argument is that he was put in fear for his safety.
That's the most dangerous thing a cop can say. I feared for my life.
In the trial, the guy like my little brother had a public defender that like killed it, dude. She was awesome. And she gets up there and she's like, so you've done how many years of Brazilian jiu-jitsu training? Like she had this whole like hand-to-hand combat training that he does through the police academy, and she goes, and you're telling me somebody walking down a hallway puts you in fear for your safety, and we think you should be allowed to carry a gun? Like this man's a detective, and she just embarrassed him on the stand, made him look horrible. But yeah, that was their whole like argument for charging him, and then later trying to charge me with the crime is that since they couldn't successfully win a trial against him, they're now saying that I put the gentleman for fear of his safety while he was on top of my brother after just slamming his head into the concrete.
Well, somebody scared him.
I got shoved into a wall, and I'm literally sitting in the drywall in a hole like this that I had to get pulled out of, but somehow I was putting him in fear for his safety. Yep. Sometimes, man, I just don't even know what to say about these people.
Yeah, just like everyone that's pinned to the ground with a knee to their head is always resisting, right?
Literally. That's how my little brother was back like this. with the dude's knees on his like arms like this, basically in like a full mount on his chest. And they were like, hey, he was scared. He assaulted him because he was in fear of his safety.
Yeah.
This is Anne Arundel County, technically at the CID building. These are the detectives. But yeah, so we're gonna go in there tomorrow. Ultimately, it's just a status conference. The trial is set for April 20th, so it's just like a status conference. Just to set like a motions hearing probably 2 weeks before the actual trial. But yeah, it's funny you brought that up, Brother Tom, because that is very relevant right now.
And not to change the story, but what that training video could have covered was if you're an auditor out there, a lot of it's just common sense. You know, you got to stay cool, calm, and collective like Annapolis audits. But a
Ask for
lot of
them
times
french
these
fries,
auditors,
baby.
yeah, these auditors, they'll say, well, I don't break the law. And then what they do when you're ready to depart your way from the officers, you walk across the street to get in your car, and then they got you jaywalking. So you have to
Yep.
constantly be
Yep.
aware of your surroundings. They can get you something it takes a couple seconds to do, and you forget.
Yep.
Something as
Something
simple as
as simple.
jaywalking.
Yep.
Yep.
That's exactly what he said too. He was like, my advice to the officers is find something to get them on.
Watch them.
exactly what he
Watch for
said.
something that they do. Any little thing to pull them over for or to try to ID them. Now, oddly enough, Maryland is one of like 4 or 5 states where you don't even legally have to ID yourself if you're suspected of committing a crime. The only time that you legally have to identify yourself to a law enforcement officer in the state of Maryland is you are the driver of a vessel that is pulled over for a legal traffic infraction. So even if like you're walking down the street and they suspect you of committing a crime or they have reasonable articulate suspicion, you still don't legally or lawfully have to present ID or give them your identification, only if you are driving or the driver of a car that made a traffic infraction.
Or in a boat in a waterway too. I think that applies.
Yep. Yes. You are correct. See, I wasn't even thinking about that. The first time I said vessel and then I changed it to car, you are correct. I wasn't even thinking water.
Well, I got a river that runs by my house. That's why I'm aware of it.
Yep. No, that's smart thinking. I wasn't even thinking about it like that. The water vessel would also count. You would have to ID yourself. Now, I guess that would technically be more like DNR out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yo, AEC, what's up, brother? How you doing? But yeah, so that would be another time you would have to do it. But yeah, Maryland's one of like 1 or 4 or 5 states where you don't have to ID yourself, even if you're suspected of committing a crime. Nice little tidbit for anybody from Maryland in the comment section listening right now or watching. I just like now I always just assume the central booking officer is like watching my video and or as he says, just reading the comments.
Looking for those threats, right?
Yep, waiting for it.
Yeah. Because you definitely don't ever tell anyone not to do that. It's like a subtle encouragement.
I've got a disclaimer at the end of my thing. Like, this should not be taken as a call to arms. Like, if people are doing this, it's of their own free will. And I say it all the time. Like, I'm not going to tell anyone not to do anything. Like, if they want to call and file grievances, then, like, that's on them. They're adults. I just ask that if they do it from the perspective of, like, after watching my video, then just do it, like, with some respect for me, please, because I try to do the same. People get mad at me all the time. They're like, stop calling these fucking pigs sir, stop calling these Karens ma'am or miss. And it's like, that's just kind of how I am, you know what I mean? Even if I'm like worked up or a little like excited and wearing my heart on the sleeve, I still try to be no sir or no ma'am, I'm not gonna, no sir, that's not the way it's supposed to be. I still try to give like a basic level of respect because I am looking for the same in return. I don't know. That's just trying to. That's how
it's all up to the individual auditor. You know, you might be an auditor that uses profanity, and then you might be someone who was ex-military, and everything is sir and ma'am. So you create your own path. You become your own type of auditor out there. And you know the old saying, you know, you can please some of the people some of the time.
Can't please
So yeah,
all the
just do
people
your
all
own
the time.
thing,
Yep.
whatever you think's best.
Yep.
Yeah, and at the
Yeah,
end of the
like you said,
day,
you'll
like
find your
as
own
long
rule.
as you're not like doing anything insane, like you have no expectation to be respectful in the first place. Like
That's like the biggest thing is like I have no expectation to worry about someone else's feelings or to like, you know what I mean? My rights don't end where your feelings begin, and I shouldn't have to worry about if you're upset about what I'm doing, this or that. But I guess like to a point, I still kind of like do subconsciously. It's weird. I'll like still be like worried about whether or not, I don't know. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I just
yeah,
don't like
I
the
still would be respectful, obviously, to like as much as I can, unless like
yeah.
things were like really bad. But I can understand the auditors that get, you know, fed up or they're tired of it or whatever it may be, or like especially the guys that have had like their whole town and police departments turn against them. Basically, like I would not be respectful in any encounter at that point. I would not
Yeah.
care because you can say like what you want, basically, to a
Literally.
degree.
Yep. You can
Um,
voice your opinion.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. As long as you know it's not like call to arms or like fire in a movie theater or whatever the hell.
Yep. No like malicious intent or anything.
Yeah,
I
but
always try to wait till someone else disrespects me first. And then
yeah,
I try to just
exactly.
like give them the same energy back that they're giving me.
Yeah, because that's one thing that that the presenter Matt is lost on is that in so many of these encounters, like it's initiated by the government side. Like they come in, it's immediately just like, all right, turn that off or get out or whatever. In my first video, it was like that when I went to the courthouse to speak to the commissioners. I walked in, I asked where the meeting was at because I'd never been in that building before, and immediately he like looks at my chest because I was wearing the little chest mount GoPro, and he's like, first of all, you need to take that off or you got to leave. And I asked
Yep.
a couple questions, and I asked about the Maryland Public Meetings Act because I had looked kind of into that because I was looking into like what you can and can't do. And since they do it in the courthouse, they kind of have, oh, the judge ruled you
Yep.
can't bring cameras in here.
Yep.
And there was a sign on the outside, but even the sign just said you can't have cameras in the courtroom.
In the courtroom. Yep.
But I mean, you can still record meetings in
I know
general, right?
that's
Am I wrong on that
no,
one? Or?
it's weird. So it's 16-208. The one for the courtrooms is like it's like 10 dash like 218 or something like that, like whatever it is. But then there's a second one and it's 16-208 Maryland rule, and it pertains to filming in any courthouse facility, period. So like lobbies, hallways, entranceways, clerk's offices, and it
Okay.
extends to even like the commissioner's office here where I live is not at the courthouse anymore. It's actually at the local like detention center down the street, but it extends to that facility as well when you're in the commissioner's office. So I can't even go and like wear my chest mount when I walk in there to fill out paperwork or petition for charges or whatever it is. So it's like weird that it works at the courthouse but also at courthouse facilities.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Just another gotcha.
Yep. Just yeah. And it's like, oh, I can do it because this says so, but then I can't because this says so. But it's like, which one has the higher, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like that's precisely why they hold it at the courthouse.
That's what, yeah,
Or at
that's
least
exactly why
maybe
they do it.
part of the reason, other than
Yep.
it's just how they've always done it. Maybe I don't think that all of them are that mustache twirling evil, but
Now, like that would pertain a lot more to like district courts because circuit courts in Maryland will usually be used as like multi-service centers. So a lot of them you go to will have like they'll have like the state's attorney's offices, but then they'll also have like sheriff departments, or they'll have like Department of Human Services, or just like other services that are also a law library. So you'll be able to film in certain areas in what's considered a multi-service center, but you won't be able to film like the actual courthouse. So the security checkpoint, like the main area of the courthouse. But then when you get to like the subsidiary hallways where DHS is. You can film in the hallway where DHS is and in the lobby. But then when you go back out into the main courthouse lobby, you would have to turn your camera off or like turn it down or whatever. So it was cool. I think it was in St. Mary's is where I first encountered like a multi-service center where they were like, oh no, you can record in here. You just have certain areas where you can and can't in this courthouse. Okay.
Gotcha.
Hey, Terry, I do have a question for you. Speaking of a courthouse, and I think it just recently happened to you within a week or two ago. Let's say you walk into a government facility, into a lobby to do an audit, and things are kind of going sour, turning south, and they start to turn up the music being played in the corridor. Okay, let's say they put on a song by Lady Gaga, and then you go home after the audit and you upload that video to YouTube. Now, is there a copyright infringement because now you're playing a song by Lady Gaga without her permission?
Yeah, you would then be distributing the music out to the public without a distribution license on your channel.
So how do you go? How do you fight that? You know, you go into a lobby and they're playing music over the intercom. Is there anything you can do?
You can acquire a license to stream licensed services or like licensed products out to the public on like a single channel factor, as opposed to like the government entity has to apply to do it in all of its buildings. That way, if it does it in any of the like lobbies or like of the health department, of the this, of the that, the county will be paying, or the state or whoever will be paying for a license to do it in all of its buildings, as to where like an individual like you or I will be paying for a single user or a single entity distribution license, because we would only be distributing it on our social media platform. So it would be probably a little cheaper to acquire a license to do it that way. But
I've heard a couple other auditors doing the same thing, or questioning, you know, what are my parameters? What can I or can't I do as far as uploading a video with a music in the background?
Yeah. I will say that there has been times where I've uploaded videos, and if I include, for instance, the Centerville Health Department, the radio was playing Moves Like Jagger, that whatever fucking I think it's like Maroon 5 or something that sings that song, and that was playing in the background for like 30 seconds, and I got a notice saying that they were going to file a claim on there to take X amount of percentage of the revenue, if not all of it, because I was featuring their stuff in 30 seconds of a 45-minute video. But like with the Taylor Swift one, I didn't have that.
So with that, like if you edit your videos up, and I noticed you also just said it was like a few seconds of like one clip of your video. Does that not fall under like the fair use stuff?
That's where you can fight it. And a lot of people were always scared because these companies would file these copyright claims. It just recently happened with like a big streamer. His name is I Show Speed, and he has a company that he like pays to just go and file a copyright claim on anything that mentions his name, his picture, anything, even if it falls under fair use. And people were just scared to fight these claims, because then if it goes to court and you lose it, or you lose the claim in general with just YouTube, it can cost you your channel. So people were so scared to do it for a long time. And then I forget the name of the creator that eventually filed like the appeal to it and won it. Like when it came down to it, the company didn't have any like legal right. So I think that's another thing, Tom, is that people may have the ability to appeal and win it when they get these claims for these smaller like clips, but they're just scared to risk their channel over something like that small. They're like, all right, I'll just go edit my video and take out this 30-second clip, or I'll just take this out of here and lose it. It's not worth risking my channel. So I think a lot of it just boils down to like YouTube not being very transparent about what does and doesn't fall under fair use, because there are times where like something blatantly can be fair use, and they'll try and say it's like 100% match of someone's video, or that, you know what I mean? They're just not very consistent in their rulings of their like guidelines violations. So I think a lot of it boils down to people just not wanting to risk their channel. So they're just like, fuck it, I won't even deal with it. And I'll try to avoid having the music in there at all costs. I just start dancing and singing whatever song it is.
Man, when you leave the house with your camera, you gotta stay on your toes
Yeah.
and be alert of your surroundings.
Oh yeah. Always. I need to get my cameras back. That court case is actually coming up March 16th. The Calvert County one is coming up, and they already gave me my phone back, but I need to get my cameras back. That's the next move. I did have you might recognize her name. It's Caitlin Lamazzo is the public defender down there. I had her file. I think she's like the assistant public defender or deputy public defender, as they call it. But I had her basically file a motion for the discovery to get those cameras since I need them as evidence for my defense. And she was like, they don't even have it entered in as evidence in the case. And I'm like, well, then why the hell are they keeping the cameras if it's not even entered in as evidence? Why did they need to keep it as evidence? That doesn't make, you know what I mean? They got a warrant to keep it as evidence for the case, but they don't enter it in discovery as evidence for the case.
They know what they're doing.
They do. Yep.
Yeah.
When I filed the replevin hearing, they set the they had 15 days technically to respond to it, and they set the hearing for 14 days from when I went there and filed the paperwork, just so they wouldn't have to respond to it. They were like, okay, we're not going to have to respond. We'll just set the hearing, and then ended up calling me and giving me my phone back the day before the replevin. Savages.
Mm.
They know they're going to lose that case.
Well, we all got your back.
Six Oaks just said it too. It helped that at that like exact time, the case from North Carolina went all the way to the Supreme Court, and it was ruled that in the Fourth Circuit, you have the legal right to live stream police officers in the course of their duty. So that's just like another plus, you know what I mean? Like just one more little thing that kind of concretes the fact that I was allowed to be doing what I was doing and that they're retarded.
Yeah, that's good too. I've seen a video where a cop tried to snatch this dude's phone from him because he was live streaming because of officer safety and how he's giving their location away so someone could come flying around the corner and whatever. You know, it's always amazing, like the little what ifs and whataboutism stories that cops come up with because they've been trained to be so fearful of every single person that they encounter. So they're just constantly thinking that like Red Dawn style criminals are going to start parachuting out of the sky.
Helicopters over the mountains.
Yeah.
They get upset if you're live streaming while they're on a stakeout. That really infuriates them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, if they're
you must be colluding with that guy.
They're too much sometimes, man. I don't know. I don't like to think that all cops are bad, but like it's like you were saying earlier, man, it almost gets to a point where like when your whole county police department is just like blatantly acting like dickheads to the point where like even this obviously is coming from the chief, the people that are charging me with these assaults on their detectives a year and a half after the statute of limitations expired. So it's 2.5 years after the situation. Like, so obviously that call is coming from higher up in the police department or the state's attorney's office. So it's like at this point, they just are trying to fuck me just because they don't like what I do, not because I like actually committed this crime or did anything wrong, but just because they don't like me. So it's just like
they wouldn't
it's
push it this hard
so
for anyone else. Guarantee that.
At a certain point, it's like, yeah, man, I'm just like, fuck these people. I don't like to think they're all bad, but they're not showing me anything different, man. Spencer,
Hashtag not all cops, man. Come on.
I know. They're not. I have friends that are still like police officers, man. I like to believe that they're not.
My best friend growing up is in
people.
DNR, so I know how you feel.
So you know, like they're not bad people. So you're like, you don't like to believe that they're bad cops either. You're like, he can't be out there doing that type of shit.
No. He's had like people accuse him of being racist and all that, but like I'm half black, and his other friend that's a cop with him is black, and then our third friend is also black. But there's like one of his coworkers accusing him of being racist. because of how he chooses to check fishing license. So
It's like, come on, dog.
yeah.
I feel like that's like the go-to like insult for police officers there. They just like whenever something is like inconveniencing someone, they're like, you're racist. And they could be the same race as the person and they'll call the cop racist. Like, what?
Yeah, it's the go-to. It's the narrative. But if you look at the stats, it doesn't matter what color you are.
Yep. They don't care.
Yeah.
That shit's funny, man. But all right, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and check on out of here. I appreciate everybody showing up. It was Spencer, right? Or no, Spencer, Scott.
Yeah.
Scott
I was like, you
I
me
want to
or
say Spencer?
yeah,
It was
it's Scott. Yeah.
So thanks for showing up, brother. Tom,
Yeah.
appreciate you for showing up as well, brother.
Yep, like
Yeah, thanks
always,
for having me.
appreciate it.
It was nice to have a little panel. Normally, I'm just like talking to myself into the chat and just like rambling for an hour and a half.
Yeah, just talking to the voices.
Yeah, literally, I just like be talking and I get quiet and I'll go, oh yeah, what was I saying? Huh?
Yeah, cool. I sent you those screenshots as well, so you can just see exactly how many towns that he's told us to already. So.
Oh heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me share this link real quick as well. Everyone, I'm gonna share a link that is for the video if you guys want to finish watching it yourselves as well. I think we got to like an hour.
It's almost
and 18
over.
minutes in. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not too long left, but I will go ahead and post it as a banner real quick. Maybe it didn't show up. No, it sucks. All right. We'll go back to comments and post it there. But yeah, here is the link to the file on my Google Drive if you guys want to watch it. But yeah, appreciate y'all for showing up, man. Thanks again, and I'm gonna check those out.
All right. Have a good
All right,
one.
guys,
Thanks
be
for having
safe.
me.
Take it easy.
All right, peace out.
Yep.
Peace.